Hello, welcome back to another Godzilla Battle Line video. Today we're going to be doing our Season 22... Dang it, I always forget. Is it Season 22 or 23? I think it's 22. Season 22 tier list. And we do have everything in order right now. It is very close to the end of the season, so we're going to go ahead and just set everything up and try to rapid fire through as quick as we can. We do have a lot of changes and a lot of new units, so without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. So first up, best unit in the game, it's finally here. Fourth Angel Sawshiel is unanimously the best unit in the game in my opinion. It's just too broken. Everyone has it at least at level 20 now. It's pretty damn good. Mine's level 22, which I still think's on the low side for, you know, my rank and the people I play. I constantly play people who have higher level Fourth Angels. And my level 22 still kicks effing ass. So this thing's broken. It doesn't matter if it can't hit flyers because the explosion damage is so massive. Another thing that makes it broken is the double explosion procs. I don't know if any of you know this. All exploding units can double explode. All they have to do is be in their attack animation without getting the attack off, and instead they'll explode twice, which is absurd, especially on a unit like Fourth Angel, who has a base, really high base explosion damage, over 1,000, and very tanky, very slow, just fits into the game amazingly as a first drop, and you know, it's just broken. It's super good on defense because you can just drop it in a massive push and it'll hit everything. You can start it at the start of a push just by dropping him behind a building and have him walk super slow. He's just amazing. There's like no counter to it, because it's always going to explode. It's ridiculous. Next is Batra, Batra is amazing, and the only thing you can say about Batra that's bad is you have to evolve Batra. Is there ways to kill Batra? If someone really wants to take out Batra, they can use like Train Bomb, Dimension Tide, Kiryu, any of those three like paired together to for sure take it out. That does cost a lot of energy, and it's not really doing much for them. It's kind of just negating your Batra, but Batra is just amazing. The DPS Batra does is amazing. The buff Batra gives off is amazing. Anyone who thinks Batra is bad or just isn't a good unit is just, I don't understand. It's so good, just use it. Like, I've never not used Batra and just thought it's not good. It's crazy to me. I just don't understand. Batra's amazing, it always has been. It's gotten buffed more recently than it's gotten nerfed, so yeah, still a great unit to use. Next is Burning Godzilla, who I think is deserving of the third spot. It's mainly because the pairing with Fourth Angel Sawshiel is so good. Burning Godzilla also does his own thing paired with Fourth Angel that Fourth Angel can't do that makes Burning Godzilla good, which is attack flyers and stall on buildings. Burning Godzilla is actually a lot slower than Fourth Angel, and because Burning Godzilla can stall on buildings, he's a lot better to drop first. Also, you need to build up the explosion, so it's better to drop him first anyways. The problem with Burning Godzilla is, why he's not as good, is because his explosion needs to build up. His range isn't super high, so if he doesn't really have an explosion build up, Burning Godzilla is not that good. You know, he's kind of tanky. 5 cost is still like decently cheap. Like, it's not like he's bad, but like just in comparison to Fourth Angel, like if Burning Godzilla doesn't have an explosion buildup and you need to drop him on defense, it's not going to be nearly as good as Fourth Angel would be. But Burning Godzilla is still amazing. It's great. These two are the premier like frontline tanks in Godzilla Battle Line right now. You're going to be seeing them all the time. They don't even have to work together to work, but they just work amazing together. It's really good. Next is Mothra Leo, and Mothra Leo is kind of not having that great of a time with the explosion meta because he is a short range unit with the charge and will always proc the explosions and always get hit by explosions. And even if he's not like fighting one of them, like there's a high chance he's going to get hit by it because he's such a close range fighter. Now, Mothra Leo again is like the OG like turbo busted unit. Like Mothra Leo's stats are always and will always be like really inflated. The problem is Leo can get countered a lot easier by like Kamacuras, and Leo's probably not surviving like one of these guys after, like, Leo can kill 4th Angel and Burning Godzilla, like one of them, but he's probably not going to survive like the fight and then the explosion after with like a bunch of help from the other person's rest of their units. I'm not trying to knock Leo, but I did rank him pretty, I think the best last tier list, but I just don't think he is doing as good. I prefer to use Batra in my 4th Angel Burning Godzilla decks over Leo if I had to like pick between the two, and for that reason I just think Batra is still the GOAT. Next is Fire Dan, which is another great flyer. These three are just the, they've been around for like a year. Fire Dan's heal is amazing. It'll never be like out of S tier, and if it is, it's just gonna be like the king of A tier. Fire Dan isn't like an amazing fighter, but like usually you want to pair him with Batra, who's another great unit that everyone uses. And it kind of makes up for his lack of damage, because then they're both just like really fast and hitting really hard like all the time. Fire Dan doesn't really pair well with Mothra Leo or Ultraman, which kind of like is why most people, not most people, but some people won't run Fire Dan. But if you are trying to use Fire Dan for more than just like the defensive capability heals, like pairs well with Batra insanely well. I think we all know. Next is GMK Godzilla, who this is his first season without, actually being in the game with his normal base levels, because we had the boosted levels last season. The thing is that's different now is you only need 15 pieces to get to level 15 now, whereas like back then you needed a lot more. So if you had 15 GMATs, you could have level 15 GMK Godzilla, and I think a lot of players have stored up GMATs and have gotten, more than one copy of GMK Godzilla. So there is going to be a lot of GMK Godzillas above level 10 running around nowadays. And GMK Godzilla at level 12 was S tier, so I still think he's S tier. You're not going to be seeing him nearly as much. He's going to be pretty rare, but GMK Godzilla is still a force to be reckoned with. The debuff is huge. The AoE is huge. He is pretty tanky, hits pretty hard. He's just everything you kind of want in an AoE option. And he's 6 cost and backs it up. Now the thing is, he does pair a little bit better with G89 leader rather than like the whole Ultima leader, but I think he's just good enough on his own to where it doesn't really matter, but he does love that G89 buff a lot. Next is Dimension Tide. So I did drop Dimension Tide out of S tier. The reason why is because Ultraman's not in S tier, I'm sure you noticed. And I don't think GMK Godzilla needs Dimension Tide to function. His AoE is really massive, and it's not really skinny like Ultraman. Ultraman needs Dimension Tide. GMK Godzilla doesn't. Can you pair it with GMK Godzilla? Of course. Like you can pair any AoE like that. I just don't think he like needs it. So for that reason, I think Dimension Tide is kind of dropping a little bit as far as viability goes. It's still just as good. It's just not S tier anymore because there's not as much AoE options. You don't really need to pull units into 4th Angel or Burning Godzilla. Like they're usually gonna hit most of the time. The thing is, DT is actually a lot better for pulling away Burning Godzilla and 4th Angel. I use it to pull away 4th Angel all the time, so I'm not taking the explosion damage. It pairs really well with like long range units like Super X, because those missiles like follow and you could like drag the 4th Angel while it's getting shot, things like that. Dimension Tide's still the best effect in the game, just not as good as previous seasons when Ultraman was doing a lot better. Next is Kamacuras. Kamacuras is just a great support cost. It is 3 meat shields for 2 cost. It is great. It's always been good. Next is Gigan 04, who has risen tremendously in my ranks. Gigan 04 has just absolutely been clapping for me this season. Every time I've been throwing him in, just absolutely murking fools. Debating putting Gigan 04 over Kamacuras type of murking fools. Ultima leaders rampaging. The thing is Gigan 04 can do is grapple Ultima leaders right at their range, so it's going to stun them out of their attack, and he's going to be a little jerk to those Ultima leaders. Another thing that Gigan does well is he's a ground unit counter, right? He's not grappling flyers, which is why I was dropping him in previous seasons, because he's not grappling onto flyers and they're just killing him. But now these exploding units are so obviously good that like the ground units are always going to be here. You're always going to have the 4th Angel. You're always going to have the Burning Godzilla. You're always going to have a GMK Godzilla. You're probably going to be running into one of those 3. And Gaigan 04 is great at countering what they want to do, because Gaigan 04 can go 1v1 Fourth Angel, it can go 1v1 Burning Godzilla, and it can go 1v1 GMK Godzilla pretty well. The thing with GMK Godzilla is that he counters GMK so well because GMK's AoE is huge, and when Gaigan ziplines into him, it's going to relock him onto Gaigan, which is right next to him, so he's not getting that huge AoE splash. So it's not really going to be hitting your Batras, your Mothra Leos, your Fire Rodans. Going to keep those a lot safer. And like I mentioned before, really good at stopping Fourth Angel and Burning Godzilla before they can start pushing out to midfield. You can send Gaigan pretty early and have him go fight them and kill him. He's really good. Also pairs really well with Kiryu, because if Gaigan can win those 1v1s, you can drop Kiryu behind and Gaigan won't have to take the leader damage. He's doing really good this season, you guys. I think you should try him out. Next is a new unit, Unit 0. I think Unit 0 is the best of the 4 units we got this season, and a lot of you think so as well. It was a close call, you guys. It was super close, but Unit 0 just barely pulling through. The thing that makes Unit 0 so good is obviously the shield mode with 70% damage reduction and the explosion. The explosion is comparable to Fourth Angel's, and at level 12, it is really just a shell of what it could be in the upper 20s. Like, Unit 0 is probably an S tier unit in the future once that explosion damage starts, scaling very high. She's also pretty damn good at fighting. She might have short range, but she makes up for it with really high DPS and just does a lot of things well. She is counterable though, like you can kill her like while she's pulling out her shield and she won't explode, or you can rush her before she wants to get into that shield mode and you can kill her, pretty easily if you send in like a Batra with Kamacuras. So she is counterable, but she's really good. You've seen me use her. I'm sure you've used her. We got a lot of level ups on her. That's another thing that's going to make her really good, because there's a lot of level ups going around right now for her that she's going to be very playable, especially for the mid-rank players. She's a very, very good support tank. That's the thing though, she's not a main tank. She's not a first drop. She's like, actually she can be a first drop. You just got to get the timing down and make sure that you're using her shield mode to shield damage. I mean, like, if you can get the hang of that and make sure she's constantly shielding damage, getting off good explosions, and you become like the best Unit 0 player, like, you're gonna have a lot of wins coming in your future. Next is Ultraman. Ultraman is dropping, and it's not really a surprise to me. I've been feeling Ultraman's like decline ever so slightly, and I've been waiting, and now that we've got here, it's like, yeah, I think Ultraman has problems. Ultraman does not have enough damage to burst through Fourth Angel before it can get close enough to him to explode, so he's not really countering Fourth Angel in that aspect. You can't 1v1 Batra, Mothra Leo, Fire Dan. GMK Godzilla has huge AoE, it's kind of like replacing Ultraman, and you don't even need Dimension Tide with GMK Godzilla, which frees up a slot. Burning Godzilla can fight Ultraman. The thing that makes Ultraman so good is the Dimension Tide combo and being able to outrange, but it's just not able to work because everything's a lot tankier. Back then in that meta, it was the flying meta. You could just Dimension Tide flyers and like Kamacuras and throw a Ultraman thing at them, and they're all gonna pretty much take a lot of damage. Now it's like these things don't care if they take damage like that. They're just gonna walk into you and explode. Fourth Angel and Burning Godzilla really don't care if they die. They don't. They want whatever's behind them, which is usually the Batra, the Mothra Leo, the Fire Dan, the GMK Godzilla. They want those things to not take damage, and they want to blow up whatever's fighting them. So Ultraman is just kind of like creeping out right now. That damage nerf kind of hurt him that he got a couple months back, and he does need Dimension Tide, and that's almost his biggest flaw, is he needs Dimension Tide in the deck to work, and that takes up 2 slots, and you only have 5 more unit slots. And I know a lot of people don't want to run Ultraman Dimension Tide all the time, so they're like, you know what, I could use 2 other units. Like, what if you really like Space Godzilla and Fire Dan? You're like, I love those 2 guys, I want to use them. So you throw them in. Next is Psychic Chorus. Psychic Chorus is also dropping. I think there is a bug where if an explosion goes off, Psychic Chorus goes away. Not 100% on that. I've seen it happen. I've seen people talk about it. But regardless of that, Psychic Chorus's heal has been nerfed over time. It is not what it used to be at its like highest peak, and you don't really need to heal the current meta because you want them to die. Like 4th Angel and Burning Godzilla explosions are really nice. You don't mind if they die. So the heal doesn't really matter, right? Kind of why that's happening. Psychic Chorus at the end of the day though is still 3 cost. It's still a heal, and there's not any really heals in the game, so it's obviously still like in the upper echelon of A tier. It's still pretty solid. You can throw it into a lot of decks, not knocking it, but I just don't think it's on the S tier echelon anymore. I don't think you need it in most decks, but it is still a really nice complementary effect piece. Next is Unit 8. Everyone's sleeping on Unit 8. Unit 8 is so good. The fact you can sit for 20 seconds in a sniper mode, and I think you can get off 3 shots. Maybe it's 4. Let's say 4 shots. I think you get off 4 shots. Let's say your Unit 2 is level 20. It's like you're doing well over, I would say, 1200 damage to something, and you're also stalling and not moving, and by the time she starts moving, you can have a Burning Godzilla that has a full bar that just took out 2 buildings standing next to her with like 7 energy on deck. You can drop that 4th Angel, and then you can drop the Batra behind. If you didn't watch the video, just go ahead and watch it. I already did it. I'm literally explaining my video if you didn't watch it, which a lot of you didn't, because yeah, for some reason you guys didn't want to watch the Evangelion ranked battle stuff. Well, it's not my fault I put it in the game. Don't you guys like me? Anyways, Eva 8 is great. The only flaws she has is that her targeting as a unit is the same as when she's a sniper. So she will lock onto things from super far away. So she will walk all the way across the map in really weird directions, which sometimes can be really good because it stalls pretty nicely, but other times it can be really bad. Another thing is you can like drop Kamacruses to run her down while she's in sniper mode, and those will be kind of annoying. But she counters some things amazingly, like Super X. She counters Super X disgustingly. She will just destroy that thing. She's also really good at countering this explosion meta because Sashiel and Burning Godzilla love to live on 1 HP. Don't you have those times where they live on 1 HP and you're like, God damn it, now I gotta go fight them, and then they're gonna explode and do so much damage, and it's like so annoying because they lived on 1 HP, and it's probably because they have like 1 level higher than me, and I'm so mad, I'm so crazy, I'm going insane. Well, now you can just drop like Unit 8 and she'll just snipe them from like a mile away, and you won't have to deal with that. Not only that, it's way better than like using Train Bomb or Dimension Tide, because that's wasting energy. Dropping Unit 8 is not wasting energy. It is an investment for your push. So what I like to do is always wait till I have 10 energy so I can use her, and then while that energy is refueling that I just spent, I'll have like a full bar ready to go when she's like starting to shoot with her pistol, and I'll have like a whole entourage of monsters just ready to clamp down on the other team. So do I think Unit 8 is good? Yes. Is she perfect? No. We'll see how she does in the future, but a great unit, and you should never be mad if you pull this thing. It's really good. Next is Kiryu Kai. Kiryu Kai is great. Kiryu Kai is really good because he does not deal with the explosion meta. He really doesn't. When do you use Kiryu in the midfield? Like, not super often. And you're definitely not doing it anymore because everything's exploding. So you're like, fuck no, baby. I'm out of there. I'm not sending Kiryu. You're going back to behind the leader, doing all that shit, taking out Super X's, taking out Energy Base. I don't want Train Bomb in my deck. I want Kiryu because he's going to pair well with units like Gaigano 4, units like Mothra Leo, units like anything. I mean, Kiryu's just a great pincer attacker for going behind the leader and pairs really well with Gaigano 4 especially. And it's also really good at countering Ultima Leader because Ultima Leader does not like to have things up in his face. He likes to use his range to its advantage. Once things are in its face, he's not feeling super good about that. So I still think Kiryu is very good this season. Next is Space Godzilla, who I also think is still really good. Counters GMK Godzilla a bit because you can counter buff, you can counter crystal buff, GMK Goji's debuff, so your team is not having to worry about less damage. It's going to have a lot more damage. Another thing is GMK Goji counters Biollante, which counters Space Godzilla, which means Space Godzilla is kind of just having a lot better time. Space Godzilla, at the end of the day, though, is kind of competing with like Burning Godzilla and Sashiel, because he's like a first drop tank kind of option where you want to use like buildings and you want to drop mine buildings. But if you have like some like Burning Godzilla, it's going to take out the buildings. It's going to, take away a lot of your stall for Space Godzilla. So I think Space Godzilla is great, but I do think you need to be smart when you're using him. And he's not exactly the easiest unit to use. So still an A-tier pick. Space Godzilla is usually there. Not really a surprise. Next is Anguirus, who is also an A-tier pick. Anguirus is dropping a bit just because 4th Angel and Burning Godzilla do his job a bit better. Now, back in the day, I would even pair Burning Godzilla with Anguirus, and that's really good, because both these units, what they have in common is they go for buildings and are really slow. So they're great tanks to start a push with. But now that you have 4th Angel and Burning Godzilla, you don't really need Anguirus in there. Like, if you drop Burning Godzilla and then 4th Angel and then Anguirus, like, they're just going to send, like, flyers and they're going to destroy all your stuff. But if you drop Burning Godzilla, then 4th Angel, then, like, Batra, looking a lot better. So that's kind of why Anguirus isn't fitting in. He can fit as replacements for 4th Angel. If you don't have a 4th Angel, if you don't have a Burning Godzilla, Anguirus is still really good at soaking damage. He might not explode, but he can soak damage way longer and allow for your damaging units to fight theirs while they're zapping your Anguirus. So I still think Angi's really good. He'll probably never be out of B tier. Don't quote me on that. Next is Bylante. Bylante is just dropping because GMK Godzilla... Actually, Bylante might drop a lot more because GMK Godzilla will take away her buff. But Gigan 04 right now in this current meta is just a lot better, in my opinion, at dealing with the bomb squad. Bylante is just not really like... What's the word? Like, she obviously does damage, but if she's on Tokyo, she's not going to be doing enough damage, like not even close. So she's not viable on Tokyo. So you can already say Gigan 04 is way better. Now, if we're on London, that's the map everyone's going to use Bylante. And do I think you should use Bylante over Gigan on London? Yes. But what if everyone had a nice level GMK Goji? Then, like, wouldn't you always deploy your GMK Goji on London because you know everyone's going to use Bylante? So then it's going to make everyone want to use Final Wars Gigan on London because you're going to expect the Bylante. And you're like, no, I'm going to hit you with a Final Wars Gigan on your GMK Goji. You're going to get pissed. Did any of that make sense? That was like a whole like rock, paper, scissors dynamic. That's why you subscribe, you guys. You get glimpses into the future because my brain is so smart. But anyways, we're going to move on. Bylante is, I just recommend using her on London over Gigan. Even though there's water on New York, she can only be deployed on one side, so it's pretty predictable where Bylante is going to be. Just go with London. Gigan 04 is a lot better if they're at like equal levels on the other two maps. Next is Godzilla Earth, who is a big boy, big shots, big cost, big damage, but big double-edged sword. If they get through your Godzilla Earth, you're just going to lose the game. Godzilla Earth's also really slow, so unless you're pairing him with Gigan Leader, he is going to take a long time to push. It takes a long time to win with Earth, and you really just need your first push to go like insanely smooth. Do I think he's still strong enough for A tier? Of course. But he does come with flaws, and he does need like Dimension Tide combos. He's just a pretty balanced like 9 cost unit, honestly. Pretty balanced. Next is Godzilla Ultima, who I was debating dropping to B tier. I know, Ultima fans seething right now, 11-year-old kids in Melee. Yeah, that's right, Melee. You Ultima fanboys just screaming at his phone. Wait, listen up. The reason I was going to drop it to B tier is because the leader is so good that it's like, if you're not using the leader and you're using him as a unit, are you at a down? Are you at like, a bad point in your life? But I still think it's pretty viable. I think Ultima counters the bomb squad as a unit. The thing is, like, Terrestris, right? Terrestris is so easy to kill, especially with like 4th Angel, which makes me want to drop Ultima to B, honestly. I'm going to do it. I'm sorry. You just walk 4th Angel at Ultima, or at Terrestris, and it's going to die. Like, 4th Angel in anything, because all 4th Angel has to do is, like, touch him once with, like, a Kamacuras, like, mandible, and then the explosion, and it's going to go down. If you can get him up, obviously Ultima's pretty good. Got really nice range, really nice damage. Just not very dependable in that aspect. And the fact that he's such a good leader now, it's kind of not working out for him as far as like the whole A tier shindig goes, Mr. Ultima. So I think I'm going to put you in B tier. Still really good though, so stop crying at me, Godzilla fanboys. Next is Naranga. Naranga was another dude I was debating in A tier, but man, I love Naranga, don't get me wrong. It's Baragon's like nephew, and he's a member of the Baragon family. I love my Gons. But the thing about Naranga is he doesn't have like great health, and he doesn't have that great of attack. All he really does all he has that's great is the invisibility and the stuns, which are great. But the thing is, like, the damage and the health just isn't enough to work with the explosion meta. He's just gonna die like super fast. Pretty much like any 4th Angel explosion with like an attack from something is gonna do a lot of damage to him. I still think he's really good. Definitely a top of B, borderline A, like in my opinion, but I just don't think he's cutting it for A tier, even though there's like not that many, don't do that. Even though there's not that many things in A tier, I just don't think he is deserving. Like, I don't think he's on par with Bylante. I don't think he's on par with Anguirus. I don't think he's deserving of it, but upper echelon of B. I just noticed we didn't do Train Bomb. Train Bomb counters energy base. It's 3 cost. It's like 1,000 damage. It's fucking stupid. If you use Train Bomb, you're just a loser, man. I don't care. Listen to me, dude. Use Kiryu, man. Get better and just use Kiryu as a monster. Just do it. If you're playing this game for Godzilla fans and you need Train Bomb in your deck, stop it. Get some help. Next is Godzilla 1954, who is getting a buff next season. Spoiler alert. G54 is probably going to be an A tier next season, would be my guess. But as for right now, the only thing that's good about him is his low walk speed and his health. His transformation gimmick isn't exactly reliable. And he used to be really good with whales because he was paired with Burning Godzilla. But now that like Sashiel is kind of like way better than both of them, there's not really room for him. And then Space Godzilla, obviously, like if they wanted a third option, they would probably rock with Space Godzilla. So he's kind of just odd manned out and doesn't really have a team comp built around him to make it work. I don't really even know any G54 players. Like, I don't know anyone who I've run into rank who's like, this guy's always running G54, always doing like transformation combos. Never run into that player. Maybe it should be me. I'll be the G54 transformation combo guy from now on. That sounds cool. But next is Hedorah. Hedorah's thing is that it's not GMK Godzilla, and his 4 cost doesn't have the highest damage, but the splash is really good. The problem with Hedorah, why I just don't think she or it is A tier, is that you have to evolve Hedorah, and you don't have to evolve 4th Angel, you don't have to evolve Burning Godzilla. They start their push right out the gate, and it can get pretty messy if you don't you can even get 4th Angel Gigan Rush now, just put a Gigan 72 behind 4th Angel, and that'll be at your leader in 30 minutes or less, guaranteed. The thing is, Hedorah has to evolve, and even though it's an easy evolution, by the time you get it to evolve, it's not good enough for me to think it's A tier anymore. I still think it's pretty solid. It works in your deck, just not the highest health, not the highest damage, just a great AoE splash. It's going to hit a lot of things. That's where you're going to get utility out of it. Poison Cloud's really good, and a pretty nice cost. Next is Mogira, who is also getting buffs next season. Also, back to Hedorah. Hedorah's getting leader buffs next season. Absolute garbage. The leader is horrible. It's dog shit. It'll never be good. It doesn't matter if you made the cost 0, or even if you made the cost to give you energy. It is still dog shit. Anyways, Mogira. Mogira's getting buffed. Does he need it? I don't know, but Mogira's kind of not getting any play because Kiryu is better at taking out energy base and is more safe. Mogira's just not really going to have that dual purpose anymore. He's really only used to go behind the leader for a cheaper cost than Kiryu and be annoying. That is his job. So seeing him get some buffs, I'm not opposed to it. Would I like to see it on other units? Yeah. Next is Jet Jaguar Singular Point, who I think is doing pretty good. He can absorb explosions, you guys. That is a huge plus for him. He's not a good first drop tank, though. It's kind of a negative for him. He can't stall on buildings. He can't hit flyers. And now he has to deal with Unit 8, who can snipe away his shields from far away. Now, Unit 8 counters the absolute hell out of Super X, so he doesn't have to deal with that if you pair with Unit 8 with him. But he will have to deal with other Unit 8s. I still think Jet Jaguar does decently well. I think all like kind of cheap ground tanks that are like not horrible, like Jet Jaguar Singular Point. I don't think I've ever thought Jet Jaguar Singular Point is horrible. He just hasn't been as good as other things. I think he's doing a lot better now, but still in the same spot where he's not as good as other things, which kind of sucks to see. Next is Megaguirus. Megaguirus is just a decent defensive option. Do I find myself putting Megaguirus in deck sometimes? Yes. And it's usually when I just need something for the slow. It's always that slow. It's always that defense. It's like I need something that is just going to fight for me on defense, and that's it. And I'm always left with like, I don't want to evolve something, right? Because it's like a last choice thing. So you're like, I don't want to evolve something. So I don't want Batra in my deck. I don't want anything like that. You're left with like Mothra Leo. And Mothra Leo isn't that good on defense because it takes a little while to get the charge going. And Rodan like 64, who is garbage. So you're kind of left with like Megaguirus as your defensive like flyer niche option. And I do find myself throwing her in at times. So, yeah, I mean, she's pretty decent at everything. She used to be amazing. She used to be like top of A tier, but she hasn't even got worse since then. She's actually gotten a little better. I think she got a buff. It just shows how like far the game is coming along from that point with all the buffs and nerfs to everything, like Psychic Chorus not being as good, how like other units dictate the meta, and like Megaguirus will always kind of be B tier in my opinion. Could she be better in the future? Of course, because like other things can come into the game that she can counter super well. She is one of the only things that has that nice slow. So we'll see how she does in the future. Still not a bad unit to be using. Next is 10th Angel, Zeruel. So Zeruel is another new unit. The thing about Zeruel is he that good at level 16? No. He reminds me a lot of Hedora. Hedora has pretty shit damage till like level 30, in my opinion. And I feel like Zeruel is going to be the same thing. Is Zeruel Explosion useless? Yes, it's horrible. Anyone who says the explosion is good, it's not good. It misses so many things. You should never put an explosion like that on a long-range flyer unless you add a delay of some kind, but they did not do that. The thing that makes Zeruel good is the long range, the slow flying speed, the fact it can stall on buildings, the 5 cost, and that huge piercing AoE. That's huge. That piercing AoE is massive. So we'll see what that level 30 damage looks like with that huge piercing AoE. And we're looking at something that is potentially a mix of Hedora and Super X, and potentially a lot better. Now, do I think it is better currently? No, but it potentially could be. I see the potential, because you're looking at like a little shorter range than Super X, but like massive piercing AoE, which sounds really good. We'll see how it does in the future. A lot of newer players are like obsessed with this thing because they have it at like a high level compared to like their level 1 stuff, and think it's like super good. Like, you guys really need to understand every season now, listen up. Any new players, like, you all need to listen up, man. I'm only saying this once. I'm tired of this. Every season when something new comes from Shin Godzilla, this happened from Shin Godzilla. When something new comes and it gets the level bonus, it's always going to be good for the underlevel players because it's like way higher level 4-star than they have. So it's always going to be kicking ass. And then they think it's really good. So everyone's going to come in and be like, 10th Angel's amazing, or Shin Godzilla's a god, or this new unit is this shit, man. I don't know what is going on. It's so fucking good. It's because it's a higher level than your other stuff. And that stuff definitely matters, because when you lose to a whale, you're definitely not like, damn, how'd that guy get so good? You're like, ah, man, I just got shit on because like my thing tickled his armpit and his thing just like baloney blasted my bunghole. So
For that reason, I don't think Zeruel is nearly as good as some people are saying, but I still think it's pretty good. It's just going to take a lot of time with level ups for that piercing damage to get really, really solid. The explosion sucks, but the piercing is really good. Super X, super counterable by Unit 8, which is new. Horrible for Super X. Super counterable by Kiryu and all the other things that counter it. Dimension Tide, Ultraman, yada yada. Unit 8 counters it naturally without having to do anything. So Super X is not having a good time right now if it's finding a Unit 8 on the other side of the field at all. Next is Gigan 72. I kind of want an apology from Sir Melee in that last tier list. He said I was like an idiot, or I'm not going to quote him that. It was in kind spirits. Me and Melee are homies, but he kind of likes to scoff at some of my up and coming meta ideas because I'm very on top of the meta game, and he likes to scoff at me. He likes to scoff at me putting Gigan in B tier. He scoffed at me. He went like that to me, right in my face. And look at him now, on stream using it. He was on stream. I caught him red-handed using that shit. I said, We'll see next tier list what you say, buddy. So I'm going to be waiting. I'm going to be waiting when Gigan 72 runs around your season 22 tier list. I'm going to see what you have to say, Mr. Melee. See what you have to say. It better be a heartfelt apology. I want tears streaming down your face. And, or else, you have Uno, by the way. Next is Unit 8. Unit 8's just clunky and weird, but has the explosion resistance and pretty good base stats. So I still think Unit 8's like pretty solid, like middle ground B tier. I think it's a little better than Final Wars Godzilla. Spoiler alert, it's right there. The reason just that explosion resistance, especially with this current meta, I can't really think that's a bad thing to have. Do I see people use Unit 8? No. I think people really hate the clunkiness of it and just refuse to use it. I really don't think it's that bad. I really don't. Next is Final Wars Godzilla. Pretty good. Final Wars Godzilla's just really costs a lot and is really fast and is hard to stack a push with. That's kind of his only problem. He's hard to stack a push with. He's really good, honestly, but he's super fast. And he just does things on his own. He's like a lone wolf. Next is Unit 2, who is brand new, Beast Mode to be exact. Beast Mode is weird because it has some problems where it won't attack some things. I've seen it primarily against like Godzilla Earth. It is very weird. The grapple on everything, though, is amazing, right? It can stop Mothra Leo charge, which is a huge counter to Leo. It also provides a Batra buff, which is amazing. We all know Batra buff's amazing. Problem with Unit 2 is it doesn't attack for a while after it grapples on. Gigan like grapples in and goes clink, 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 clink. Unit 2 grapples in and like stares at you and then does like a 40 freaking year somersault and then slams and then dies because not that tanky and takes forever to attack. It needs to attack like instantly, like bam, bam, bam. I'm a crazy demon robot monkey, but kind of takes too long. I still think it's pretty solid. There's a lot of things you can do. It pairs really well with like Kiryu and Mog, and allowing it to like wail and do damage is really good. There's a lot of uses you can have for it because it has a great flying grapple move, and I don't think it's bad. I think it can use some animation cleanups. I think it could use maybe a little buff in like the HP or give it a faster attack speed or something. It is a little clunky, but it's really cool and has a lot of, it's the most effort they put into any one of these units, which kind of sucks because it's the worst one. But it seems like the more effort they put into a unit animation-wise, the more risk it has to just get animation screwed. Like we see so many units have like animation problems because they have like cool moves that don't like work fluidly. It's way easier to program like a slap than it is to program a flying tailspin head kick karate move. So unfortunately, like we're not getting good new units all the time, like Unit 2. The other units though are, I think all 4 are great additions to the game, all B tier and above. Just Unit 2 needs a little bit of help, more than the others I'd say. Next is Descadora. Descadora is really good, not really good, is okay. Descadora is pretty solid on defense in comparison to Mecha King Ghidorah, but really slow attack speed, not too good at 1v1ing. needs Dimension Tide, and the thing with Descador, though, I'm not like a huge Descador player. I don't play him like a ton, but I'm thinking you can time it well enough if you Dimension Tide, like exploding units with the fire trail following them away, so Descador is not dealing with the explosion. That could potentially make Descador pretty damn good. But again, I don't know. I don't see people use him. So like at the end of the day, like what? I can't say like Mephiles is S tier and no one's just using him, you know? It's like no one's using him. Like, I don't know. So Descadora, you know, just gonna go right there for now. Next is Mothra, who is dealing with always the same problem. Short range, low health, needs to evolve. The problem with Mothra is she can deal with 4th Angel and things like that. She's 4 cost, pretty cheap. She can get the job done. The thing is, her health is so low that she's not going to survive like anything. Mothra is kind of just the epitome of a basic B tier 4-star, and she's kind of been that for a while. As far as the leader goes, she's pretty solid though. As a unit, she's fun. I use her, just nothing special. Next is Mecha King Ghidorah, who I don't know, man. I don't ever want to use Mecha King Ghidorah is my only level 34 star for months, and I just don't want to use him. I really don't know what to say. I don't think he's like that bad. I don't think he's C tier, but I really just don't want to use him ever. Like ever. I don't think he contributes that much. I don't know. I really don't know what to say about Mecha King Ghidorah. It kind of depresses me looking at him nowadays. Kind of depressing. Next is King Caesar, who has dropped a lot. Dude, King Caesar does not deal with the explosion meta well at all. He's way too frail. And the thing that used to make King Caesar good is like when Hedorah and Violante were like top A tier, King Caesar can charge into the Hedorah and kill it, and then charge into the Violante right after, and potentially also kill that. And then also go for a leader charge after. That is what King Caesar potentially could do. Now he can charge into one of these exploding units, maybe kill it, and definitely gonna die after they explode. So his usefulness is not nearly as good there, because you know what else can do that? Like Doriaths. You can drop like Doriaths on 4th Angel, kill it, and have them explode for 3 cost. You know, it's not really a beneficial thing for King Caesar to be doing. Now, King Caesar, obviously the charge is still great. I've spoke highly of King Caesar so much. Just into this current meta, like not working out for him at all. Next is Dorats. Dorats is decent, can't deal with Dimension Tide if it's around. It's only 1 cost less than Dimension Tide, and Dimension Tide's such a huge vacuum that just dropping Dimension Tide on Dorats with anything else is usually a benefit for them. So as long as Dorats isn't dealing with that, it's pretty solid on defense and works pretty decently well. Next is G89. Problem with G89 is he's a really good leader, so if you're using him as a leader, it's a lot better as a unit, and he only works really well with Mothra leader or a Gigan leader, and I don't think either of those are that meta right now. Everyone's running G89 leader or Ultima leader. Those are the 2 leaders you're going to be seeing, or Kiryu leader, honestly. Kiryu leader is really popular right now just because of how long the matches are with the explosion meta and like the slow walking. You can stall out those really long pushes with Kiryu. I see a lot of people do it, and it works. I mean, it doesn't work against me. It gets close. It gets frustrating though, because I'm like, dude, it's like, anyways, whatever. G89 is okay. He's a double-edged sword. He hits really hard. He's really tanky, but he can get stalled on and just better things. He's always a good investment because he's an S tier leader, but he's kind of a for fun unit in my opinion. Mephiles is really hard to rate as well, because I don't really see a place where Mephiles fits into any team. I think he needs to be 5 cost, but at the same time, I think if he was 5 cost, he'd be super, super good. So he's almost level 30 for me, literally like two pieces away. And then the next time I get a gold discount, I'm gonna have my level 30 Mephiles, and I'm gonna let you guys know exactly how I feel about him. I'm gonna craft so many teams for this dude. He's my favorite Ultraman thing in the world, and I love him. So definitely gonna be using him a lot more. Stay tuned for that. As for right now, I think he's just bottom in B tier. I rarely see him. Next is Destroya. 3 evolution. Any unit that has to evolve 2 times to get to its perfect form, I think is at a huge disadvantage in this game that only lasts a couple minutes. On top of that, Destroya is strong but not very fast, so once you evolve him after 2 whole evolutions, once you finally get to have him, he walks super slow, and that push is going to be super slow. So I just don't think Destroy is like that good, despite how strong he is once he's evolved, because of how many like setbacks there are to getting him. And last thing in B tier is Energy Base. It is broken if it's up, but it's really easy to take out. So for that reason, it's like at the bottom of B tier. Next is Mechagodzilla 2021, who, now, you guys, do I feel bad for putting all the Monster Burst 4 stars here? Like, kind of, but like, at the end of the day, I'm really thinking, what team, realistically, even if I had Mechagodzilla 21 at like, let's say level 15, what team am I realistically throwing him in saying, he makes this team better? Like, I think he makes this team better. Exactly. Do I think Mechagodzilla 2021 is really fun? Yeah. He's really fun. Super fun, actually. I love him. If I had a level 30 Mechagodzilla 2021, I'd use it all the time. But he's just not that good, man. These ground units that don't have explosions, that are high cost, like, they're just way too easily counterable by... I mean, think of these ground units, like, they should be able to fight other ground units well, but how do you think Mechagodzilla 2021 or Kong are gonna do walking up to 4th Angel? Like, they're probably gonna almost die every single time, so it's just never worth it. Next is Emba Base, which is decent, it's okay, it can get taken out by Train Bomb, it's like top of C tier, whatever. G21 is, if you get him on the leader, he can be threatening, but you need your team to be able to be good enough to get him to the leader. He does not do it on his own, and he's very counterable to stuns and swarms, which are everywhere. Just not a great unit, in my opinion. Also fun. I think all the Monster Verse units are actually really fun, and like, they might not be good, but they're fun to use. Like, I don't think Shin Godzilla is fun to use or Destroy, but I think these 3 are fun to use. So, they might not be that good, but they're fun. Manila, people are saying Manila's a lot better. No, he's not. He fucking sucks, dude. He does no damage, he has no health, he's a waste of a slot, you deploy him to do nothing, he stun locks nothing. Does he stun lock some things? Yeah, I think there's like some new things he might stun lock. Like, my Unit 8 may have got Manila stun locked in the video. Like, maybe, but like, come on, you guys. When's the last time you said, dude, I'm losing because it's Manila? Oh my god, the Manila! No! Not Manila! It never happens. And you know why I know it never happens? Because it used to happen all the time. You used to be like, oh my god, the Manila. Piss me off. Doesn't ever happen. It sucks. Manila sucks. I'm sorry. He needs buffs. Kong needs buffs. Mechagodzilla 2021 is literally just a better Kong, which is kind of annoying. Especially if they're the same, like universe, you know? Like, come on, give Kong, like, an evolution to an axe or something. Jesus. Another thing that needs some help with an evolution. Mechagodzilla. Mechagodzilla's trash, man. I don't even think low-ranked players like Mechagodzilla. Like, I've heard low-ranked players like Rodan, but I've literally never heard anyone be like, yeah, Mechagodzilla's the shit. As soon as Garuda gets added, hopefully as its own unit, it'll have this weird combo mechanic, which will introduce, like, units working together, and it'll become Super Mechagodzilla on the field. I'd love to see that. Till then, he's gonna suck ass, I guess, because he's never getting buffed. Rodan 64, another unit that is super frail. It's just a super frail, overpriced flyer. It's 4 cost and it's overpriced. Yeah, Rodan should be 3 cost. He's that frail. He does not do good damage because he dies instantly. Next, Shin Godzilla. A 3-stage evolution that is way worse than Destroya. Like, way worse. Way worse. If you don't think Shin Godzilla sucks, go watch the last video I just did with the Ancient Ruins battle mode. I fought someone who used a Shin Godzilla in fixed mode, might I add, and watch a Super X literally kill it by itself. It did nothing but die. It's horrible. Embas. Just use Emba Base. It's a lot more worth it to go for the Emba Base over the Embas. They really just don't do much. The only reason I put them in C tier is because if you are smart enough, like, yeah, you can know the stun lock matchups and probably get some nice stun locks off. The only thing is, like, Is it good to stall with units? Yeah, I say that all the time. But M-Boss don't do damage or anything. So, like, if you're stalling with them, it's like they don't, once they make it to the leader, like, big whoop, But next is Zeton, Zeton's pretty trash. The gimmick with Godzilla Earth is just not really worth it as far as, like, meta viability goes. And he doesn't do enough damage. It's a really weird unit because if it was super good, it'd be broken. So I don't know if they should buff it, but if they do, they need to be really smart. Markalite Cannon, another unit that's pretty much similar to Zeton. The thing with Markalite Cannon, its range isn't that high, and it's frail. It dies to Train Bomb every time. It costs 5. Maybe it should cost 4 and have like a little more range or higher attack speed or something, because it hasn't been good in a long time. I haven't seen it in forever. Freezing Sunday is a good slow with snipers, but I mean, I just think it's not very useful. It's kind of a waste of a slot in my opinion. Kamakur's Swarm, just better than D tier, just worse than everything else. Like, it is the last thing you'd want to throw in your deck. I've never in my life wanted to throw Kama Swarm in my deck. If you need a Kama Swarm, use Kamakur's. I don't know what you need the Kama Swarm for. If it's like a G89, Kamakur's will get it done. Use Mega Gears. I don't know what to tell you. There's no use for this. Kids. Kids is getting a buff. It could be pretty solid at 4 cost. We're going to have to wait and see, especially with the explosion meta. I was talking about it last tier list a bit, how ideally it would pair really well with Sashiel and the current meta. We'll see how viable that is. It could be looking at B tier to A tier even, or even S tier. Wouldn't that be crazy? But we'll see. Next is Stealth Bomber, which is trash. Yeah, Stealth Bomber's trash. Trash. Destroy Larva Swarm. Gets taken out by Train Bomb instantly. Gets taken out by any AoE instantly. The thing that I think needs to happen with Kama Swarm, Destroy Larva Swarm, and normal Kamakur's is they need to not be able to be targeted by flyers. They need to be so low to the ground that flyers actually won't target them. But Destroy Larva Swarm can still target flyers. I think that would be a fucking amazing change. I think it'd be great for both of them. I think it'd also help nerf Kamakur's, because Kamakur's is obviously top of A tier, borderline S, since the launch of the game, and it's literally Kamakur's. So, does Kamakur's deserve that? I don't think so. Next is Jet Jaguar, Jet Jaguar, normal Jet Jaguar, just trash. Worst 4-star in the game. I don't think it gets any worse than you, man. You're the giant octopus of 4 stars. Actually, that's not true. Jet Jaguar has some uses against some units, but the rest, he's a giant octopus clone, pretty much. Next is Attack Helicopters. A worse MBOT base that can also get taken out by train bombs, no stuns. The missiles despawn in air, pretty trash. Missiles, in general, the 5-cost missiles, extremely trash. If you use these, don't use train bomb. If you're a low-level player who leveled them up because you use like Kiryu and whatever, that's fine. But like, don't level them up anymore for the love of God. Just start leveling up train bomb for the love of God. If you're looking at me right now like, nah, dude, I'm a rebel. I think missiles is good. I just got this game like a week ago. Like, you're just wrong. I just need to look at you and your soul. I'm going to reach through the screen and grab your face and just, no, stop it. And then finally, Giant Octopus. Absolute dog shit. No uses. Trash. Actually, I was thinking Gigan 72 might be a decent combo if, like, Giant Octopus had higher health. We'll see in the future. But anyways, that is going to conclude my Season 22, I believe, tier list. Let me know what you guys think. Is Fourth Angel deserving of being the best unit in the game? I'm sure a lot of you are going to agree. I'm sure a lot of you are going to disagree. Let me know down below. Thank you all for watching. Have a good rest of your day, and peace the hell out.